Hey everybody, it's Ronnie, and I am sitting here right now speaking with one of the most legendary actors, especially in horror. And if you don't know who he is, then you probably haven't watched a horror movie in the last decade or so. And his name is Bill Oberst Jr. And thank you, sir, for speaking with me. I appreciate it so much.
Ronnie, I really like Sci-Fi Monkeys. I like what you guys do, and I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. So you're here today to speak about Painkiller, which is a new movie you're in that just came out. And well, you played Bill. Big leap on character names there for you. But so my first question is basically tell us about Bill and the movie Painkiller.
Well, so it's like Charles Bronson Death Wish meets the opioid crisis. Yeah, Bill's. See, this is kind of like a sequel to you, although you don't have to have seen the first one. I did a movie called Stress to Kill with Armand Desante. And so in Stress to Kill, the doctor tells my guy, who's Bill, that your blood pressure is way too high and you got to do something to get your blood pressure down. And so I'm like, well, what do I do? And he says, eliminate stress from your life. So what stresses me out are people, like irritating people. So I just start killing irritating people and I feel great and my blood pressure goes down, and that's the movie. And so this is like sort of a sequel to it where my daughter has died of the opioid crisis. And so of course, what's my response? I got to kill some people that are involved with opioids, doctors, pharmaceutical. I'm not really picky about whether they're peripherally involved or like, I just, yeah, somebody's got to pay. It's that kind of thing.
Right on. So I'm curious, what made you decide to take on this role? Like when you first saw it, were you given a script or was it just explained to you?
Mark Savage asked me to do it. And so I don't know if you know Mark, but he's Australian. He's in LA now, but before he came to LA for years, his stuff was banned in Australia because he does like this really extreme cult stuff. He and I are both very heavily into like circus freaks and exploitation and gritty genres like Asian revenge pictures and stuff like that. So I really like Mark and everything he does. And so when he asked me to do it, I was just like, yes. And then plus, the executive producer who co-wrote it with Tom and who co-starred in it is named Tom Parnell. He's an attorney in Florida, also an actor. And Tom's son, who's 22 years old, died of opioids. And that's the basis for the movie. So the fact that Mark was involved and that this was coming from a place of real life pain, I felt a responsibility to do it right.
Definitely. So as it was like kind of like a personal journey for this was, it was basically, this was like bringing something that happened in Tom Parnell's life and then putting it on the screen. What did you do to prepare for this role? Like, did you do a little bit more to make sure that you got this character right, got the right anger out there?
Yes. Well, my character's a radio show host too. So this was really hard for me because on set, I'm known as Pawsy Bill. I can't tell you how many times, Ronnie, I'm like, let's say the line is like, I really wish you hadn't have done that, but you did. So let's go from there. Okay. So a standard delivery might be, I really wish you hadn't have done that, but you did. So let's go from there. A Bill delivery is, gosh, I really wish you hadn't have done that, but you did. So let's just go from there. Okay, so I get halfway through that. I can't tell you how many times, and the other actor like jumps in and I'm like, I'm not done. So this radio dialogue had to be like, how many people do you know who died of opioids? Do you know that? It was like, that was really hard for me. So I listened a lot and studied a lot of radio hosts and listened to their pattern and how they got the dialogue down. So that was a lot of preparation because the radio stuff had to be specifically timed to fit scenes, and I knew I couldn't take my time with it. And then the other thing, I wanted to get in touch with my own latent anger. So I started imagining when people like took parking spaces or cut me off, I started imagining their cars exploding into flame. And like I realized that I've always wish they would explode into flames. I just never admitted it before, you know? And so, like, I remember when I was a kid, like, when we were riding along the highway, I was thinking, what if there were razor blades and they stuck out of the car and, like, they just cut people's legs off? I remember thinking that. I was like 6 or 7. So I have this weird latent anger, and I wanted to get in touch with it for this role. Are you like that? Do you secretly, like, sometime wish revengeful things?
I, yeah, but don't we all, to be honest? I mean, it's whether we act on them, right?
And I never in my life have acted on them. I mean,
What-
people can cut in line or do whatever in real life, and I'm like, oh no, totally, it's fine. Like, oh my God, I ran over your foot with the steamroller. I'm like, no, I just needed reconstruction anyway. It's okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
it's okay. It's okay. It's like
Hey,
it's
no.
yeah, it's I'm from the South, so it's like basically everything was okay. It's no matter what happened. Oh no, it's fine, it's fine.
Oh, it's
You know,
fine. Yeah, it's
you know,
fine. It's fine. I love that. You know, it's
this,
okay. It's fine. Oh my
this,
God. I was at your grandmother's funeral. I bumped the coffin. She totally fell off onto the floor and I feel terrible. No.
don't worry, don't worry. Nobody noticed.
That is so true. Nobody would ever notice. I love it. Yeah.
So, as I said, before we started the interview recording, I said, I've met you before, and like, now we're laughing and giggling and everything. And it's the other times I've met you, it's always just been so fun loving and everything. And I'm always curious when I meet actors that are just always so bubbly with life. Like, how do you go from being this to doing some of these roles you do, like playing Bill in Painkiller, or some of the other roles that you've had in other films? Like, do you have to sit down and go through a process of like, okay, no more Happy Bill?
No, because it's liberating, because I have no more illusions. I know that there is no more other. It's bullshit, such bullshit to say, oh, there's bad people and good people. I'm in the good pile, and these other people, there is no other. We are all potential. The worst, most wicked person you see, that's you in potentiality. So once you accept it, you're liberated and you're free. And I know that I am wicked. I am not a good person, but I can repress the bad parts until I have to work, till I get to work. And then when I'm allowed to, I can let it come out and let the wickedness that I know is within me have full reign, knowing that I will rein it back in. It's really very liberating. I think the worst, most uptight, repressed feeling in the world would be to think that I was a good person. That would be horrible, because then I would feel this pressure to like always do and good and say good things. I'm not good. I have all of the stuff I do on screen. It's all in me. I just keep it put away, and I have this lovely outlet to use it.
We all have a front yard and a backyard. Which one do we want to play in the most?
I like that. I like that. A front yard and a backyard. And I will admit, I like the things I do on screen. I enjoy it. Yeah, so it's in me. The camera wouldn't see it.
It's true. So I'm curious for you, because this movie has Painkiller has a definite message to it, and I'm wondering what you hope people will get out of it once they see the film.
Nobody's looking out for you. Nobody's looking out for you. There's no room where in this room are all the people who are going to take care of you. That room doesn't exist. Capitalism by nature is not your friend. It doesn't look out for your best interest. If you don't look out for yourself, and you're going to get taken and you're going to get screwed by people whose motive is just to make money or get sex or whatever it is they get off on. No one is looking out for you. And the opioid crisis happened because of trust, because originally, I mean, we know a lot more now, but people went to doctors and said, gee, I had this soccer injury. And the doc said, here, take these. So we took those. And it happened. Why did people create drugs which were so addictive and sell them? Why would they not? Unless there's restrictions, people in a capitalistic society will do whatever they can to make money. And usually that involves taking advantage of you. So it may be a cynical view, but that's my view. Nobody's looking out for you. You have to look out for yourself.
It's honest. It's very honest. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen these things happen. We watch it every day. Um, as a, um, I myself am a native Cowlitz member, and our tribes, we've opened this weekend. We're actually opening up a third rehab center, and we prefer to stay away from the things that can get you continuously get you hooked on things. And it's one of the things that is one of the big things is looking at is trying to get this opiate problem down and how to get people off prescription drug addictions. So
yes. And then what's so insidious is they shouldn't have been on it to begin with. It shouldn't have happened. But, and I've talked to Tom about this. Tom's a lawyer. In a capitalist society, you can't stop it from happening. And once we get opioids under control, the next addictive thing will come about. You know, even something like high fructose corn syrup. I've read that if high fructose corn syrup were to be submitted today to the FDA, it would never be approved.
Huh.
Because it specifically targets the parts of your brain that make you want fat. And, you know, don't get me started.
It's like that old saying about the only reason people go back to McDonald's is because it's got chemical in it.
That's very true. I mean, we all have our addictions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mine's Funko.
Totally. Mine is anything having to do with monsters. I'm very, very into. I've always been sort of addicted to the idea of the monster, and the monster is a metaphor. So yeah.
Nice. I like creating, and this everything that is in the creative process has just always been amazing to me. That's why I didn't study it, so that's why I do this now, so I can get to talk to people that create like you. And it's just always.
But you do create.
I do. And hopefully soon I'll create even more.
So like the thing is, and I put this here because I was hoping for a chance to mention it, and you brought up creativity. The things that it amazes me that the things that we assume were always there and were always meant to be, the creations, they're just somebody's idea. Somebody just like us. It's all related to bodies and sweat and physical stuff. Mm-hmm. This is a piece of Ray Bradbury's house. Wow. This is from the wall of his home in Los Angeles, which is torn down 2012 when he died. So within these walls, Ray wrote this stuff. And this stuff happened, all this great Bradbury alia happened because a man named Ray sat down inside this wall and said, I don't really feel like writing, but I've got to write. I'm going to see what I can do. And banged away and got frustrated and sweated and worked and had to go to the bathroom, all the stuff that we do. So I like to hold this and think, this stuff, all these great ideas that have been turned into movies and that have affected my life in so many, and the same way with Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, inspired by a real event in his life. It all happened because somebody had an idea and said, I'm not going to sit on my ass and binge watch. I'm going to try to create something. And that's the only way. It's like Walt Disney said, the way to get started is to stop talking and start doing. So I salute you because, you know, you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And that's awesome. I wish I had a piece of Ray Bradbury's house. That's an amazing little, wow. I am jealous right now.
A friend of his gave it to me because I played Ray in a stage show, which I hope to get going again, called Ray Bradbury Lived Forever. And after I did it in Los Angeles, somebody came up and gave me that.
Nice. Awesome. So speaking of, you know, you played Ray Bradbury, you've I don't even know how many number of characters and films you've been in at this point, because you've your IMDb list is like goes on forever. So I'm curious, with all the roles that you have played, are there any that just truly stand out to you, like you almost think about like on a weekly basis or a daily basis that you've done so far?
Yeah, there's the character I played on Criminal Minds, and I was really into it because it's a kind of a stereotypical wounded monster. I was the illegitimate son of a brother and sister, Adrian Barbeau and Tobin Bell. In a flashback, they got it on as brother and sister. And then when we go to modern times, it's me. And so the makeup artist was Quentin Tarantino's regular makeup artist, also was in some Tarantino films. He was the groom in the original Kill Bill. So Christopher says, let's make this character an homage to Lon Chaney. So we created this hump and a really big ear, which he borrowed from American Horror Story, which he was working on at the time. He said, don't tell anybody, but I brought you Pepper's ear. So, and a big jaw, and sort of like, we made him a really pitiful, like hunched over monstrous thing that you could sympathize with. And to me, that's what the wounded monster is, why he's so powerful. It's the monster that is different, but would not be a monster unless you had reacted to him as a monster. We created the wounded monsters.
Nice.
And deepen their wounds until they're determined to wound us. So I really like that character because it was the wounded monster. And then I really like my art house stuff, anything weird, art housey, exploitative, extreme. I did a movie called Dis in Mexico, which is an almost silent role. It's very art house, very extreme and offensive. It's the director's personal vision of hell. I really like that. I hated playing Papa Corn in Circus of the Dead because that character terrifies me, but I'm glad I did, and I'm satisfied with the performance. So yeah, stuff like that. The more normal a thing is, the less likely I am to say that I like it. I like Outcast and Misfits best.
Okay. That makes sense. Something that's a little different, pushes you beyond barriers. I like that. Those have been some of
Yeah,
your
because
amazing roles.
I think we're all misfits and we're all monsters, and so I really like bringing out that part of humanity. It's like Lon Chaney is one of my big idols, because Chaney said, my goal is to portray the humanity in the monstrous. And I really am into that.
Nice. So that brings me to another question. You've played so many characters. Is there any that you haven't played yet that you're ready for, you want to do, that any
Yeah.
type or
Eric, the Phantom. Speaking of Chaney,
really?
it doesn't have to be in an opera. It doesn't have to be the cliche, but the character. Because the way it was originally written, the book's not good, but there are little dribs and drabs of it that work well. And one of them is that Eric was born this way. He was born what we used to call a freak. Mm-hmm. And his parents sold him to a traveling carnival because they couldn't stand to look at him. And so that's where he became the murderous monster that he was. So when we meet him at the opera, that's his backstory. So it doesn't have to be at an opera, but this idea of a person who was born such an outcast that their parents wouldn't even look at them, and they were just pushed off to say, I don't care what happens with your life, but I can't deal with having a child like you. And then what happens is they grow up, what kind of person that creates. That's something I'd really like to do. So every young director I talk to, I say, Phantom of the Opera is in the public domain and you can do anything you want with it.
Is it?
Let's update it. Let's do something different with the character. But the important thing is that he was born that way.
Huh. That's one of the books I wish I'd read. I have not gotten to that one yet. There's too many books out there these days. I'm just overloaded. My Kindle is almost full.
So the best parts of it, I extracted for a little 30-minute podcast that's on my website. So if you go to my website, billoberst.com, you can just click it and you can just listen to like the sequences that I thought were the best, which is the bit where Christine first meets him, and then when the Persian comes down to the cellar to try to get him to stop killing.
Okay.
It's from my Gothic,
my
podcast called Gothic Good Night, which I'm going to start back up again this fall.
What's it called?
Gothic Good Night. It's short Gothic fiction designed to put you to sleep. So if you listen to it in the dark and it doesn't make you fall asleep before it's over, I didn't do my job.
All right, I'm gonna look forward to that.
Excellent.
Yeah, that should be fun. Okay, cool. Nice to know. So what is next for you? I know you have a long list of things that have been announced. So, and sometimes IMDb can be completely wrong. So I'm just curious, what's some of the big things we're going to see you in next that you want people to know about?
Playing Adolf Hitler in a straight drama, World War II drama in Romania. And that's something I really want to do because Hitler is a character that has fallen into caricature. And I like the challenge of playing a human being because that's what he was. You know, he was flesh and blood. He did all of these things. And we know about all the things that he did and how much was he like us? How much are we like him? What's the commonality? So I'm interested in that. Then the movie that called Dis that I told you about in Mexico, the director has a sequel called Dead Iris, which we're going to do later this year. And he's very into Mexican mythology, right? So this is the Mexican sweat lodge culture, which dates back to the Aztecs. And one of the ancient beliefs was that in the sweat lodge, it could become a portal to the other world, the world of the dead. So this is a story about a guy who comes down to Mexico determined to contact his girl who's passed on through the sweat lodge. And I play this wild Klaus Kinski kind of American expat who's gone completely native, and he runs this sweat lodge with dreadlocks and body paintings and a loincloth, and he's real extreme. So yeah, that's Dead Iris. And nice. The guy does contact his girl through the portal, but it's not good. It's not good, Ronnie. He shouldn't have done it. And then the other one is another one with Mark Savage that I'm hoping happens soon. It's called Circus of Dread. And it's a story set in this really dark underground carnival where very, very wealthy people who are bored take human oddities, what we used to call freaks, and they use them. They force them to perform, to work for them, to have sex. They kill them, whatever they can do to amuse themselves with this. They're dispensable. So I play a guy whose brother was born as a human oddity, and I put him on a path that he ends up in this underground carnival. And it's years and years later, and I get out of prison and I find out where he is and I can't stand it. So I got to go find him. And the only way to get into the underground carnival is to actually be a freak. So I undergo plastic surgery to become, and to infiltrate the underground carnival. It's a beautiful, very, very dark, potentially offensive film by a controversial director. So I'm all about it.
Nice. See, people keep saying that there's no original ideas left out there, and I'm like, do you watch independent media? Do you watch independent films? Do you read independent books? Like, wow, those are.
Thank you for saying that, Ronnie, because a lot of people don't watch independent films, don't know they exist, wouldn't dare to stoop to watch them, and so yeah, they keep seeing the same ideas being recycled over and over again, and they say, "I'm bored," and I always tell them, like, just dip your toe into the world of independent movies and you won't be bored anymore. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but you'll discover stuff there that you'll go, my God, I had no idea.
That's why we've here at Sci-Fi Monkeys, we've decided to take more of a focus on the independent media instead of the big budget companies and stuff like that, because you know, you can only hear Batman's origin story so many times before you're like, can we move on? You know what I mean?
30 years ago, they would have given independent movies like the ones that I'm in, Hollywood would have funded them. But now the profit margins are so insanely high and nobody's interested in making 25 million on a movie. they're not interested because that's just chump change. I only want to do it if I can make 100 million. So many movies that formerly would have been made, just, they're not anymore. And so people mortgage their homes to make these independent movies. And sometimes it's a good bet.
Good luck to everyone that does that, though. I'm gonna
They
run on
don't
Kickstarter and hope for the best.
when it's guys who mortgage their houses, they don't tell their wives, and they just pray to God.
That's how a lot of divorces happen.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for meeting with me. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I've been a fan forever, and you're just a legend at this point to me, and to most people at this point. I mean, and yes, I thank you for all the roles that you've played that I've enjoyed, that you've scared the living crap out of me with. Some I've had to turn off the TV and say, nope, no more. I appreciate them all.
Do you ever do cameos?
Cameos? Which one?
In movies?
I want to.
Because I could kill you.
I would love that. I would love that.
I would too. I mean, yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
It's something my husband loves too. He's always wanted to be murdered in movies. And I was like, well,
I thought you were going to say to murder you.
I'm sure he's thought about it a couple of times.
Hey, show me your favorite figure behind you, would you? Which one of those is your favorite?
My favorite, well, the Jack Nicholson autograph picture that I got is like my favorite thing up there because nobody has that. Right now, currently, probably the giant Batman Funko my mom just got me for Christmas. Otherwise, I have this I can't remember the artist over here on the library side of my office is this wonderful Batman statue, and it's got all of the Robins and Batgirl. They're all like little kids, and he's like holding them like they're his kids, and they're all like, two of them are fighting with each other. One's like, yes, Dad. And it's just like, and he's spending all his time talking to Barbara. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just a really good looking statue. I love it.
Was it, so did you have to paint it or create it, or was it already done when you got it?
No, I bought it for a lot of money. Yeah, it was, I can't remember the artist's name at the moment. It's getting harder and harder to remember every comic book artist's name and everything. I seem to be doing okay when it comes to movies, but there's just like, let me go grab it and I'll show you.
Oh yeah, great. I'd love to. Thanks. Oh wow. That's detailed.
It's just, I don't know. I just really love it.
Wow.
I love the detail. It's got even got the little gap tooth in his mouth.
Oh yeah. That's nice.
Red head back here. They're like, you see them, they're like fighting with each other.
Oh, that's nice. So I'll show you one of mine before we go. I've just getting into vinyl models. I've never messed with vinyl before, but this is De Niro from the TV Frankenstein. And he's been out of production for a long time, but I ordered a collector had one. So he was great to begin with. You have to heat the pieces and mold them together and then use modeling putty to cover and fill in the gaps. So what I've got on him now are several base coats. The technique to create skin tone, there's a special effects artist named John Lauterbach who's really, really good with painting prosthetics. And so his technique is to do, you take a chip brush and just get a very thin watery wash of different colors, and you just chip it and you go round and round like crimson, yellow, green, and let each layer dry. So this is a couple weeks work just to get the underlying, like some veins and muscles and stuff like that. And then now I'm going to create a skin for him to go over this, which is translucent, by using wood glue that has some slight color in it. So it'll be translucent. So then this is like his underlying structure. Yeah, and then once that's done, I'll paint all the little detail, like his it has all of his scars, his chest scars. But this is really relaxing and fun to do. In a way it wouldn't be if it was like a car model, because I'm into monsters anyway, so it's like totally joyful.
Nice, awesome. My husband actually likes to do models, of robots, and
you would enjoy vinyl modeling, I think. And there's a lot of vinyl Batmans out there that I've seen guys do online. We have to get the paint right to get the metallic look, and it's a real challenge. What were you pointing at back there?
One of those My Hero Academia ones up there. I don't know which one, because they all look the same now, but my husband actually did one of those as the model. But now it looks just like one of the actual other figures that I paid a bunch of money for. It's just, I don't know, I really love it.
Awesome.
But yeah, he does that kind of stuff up there. We paint landscapes.
We both say thank you.
I thank you too. Really, I appreciate it so much. And I'm sure we will talk again soon, because you got a lot of good stuff coming up. So
great, Ronnie. I appreciate it. Keep rocking, and I'll see you at a con sometime.
All right.